Alright, YouTube, thanks for getting here on time with me. I wanted to cover the points I have on Thomas Bruce as being bridge guy number 1. Firstly, I knew that the person law enforcement was seeking had not broken the law in any major way before. This, of course, came from Officer Kim Riley with Indiana State Police.
It's just one of those situations when we got a case that this person's never apparently committed a crime before.
Now, if a police officer tells you it's like the person had never committed a crime before, would he say that if they only had the suspect's DNA and it failed to show as a person with a prior violent sexual assault? Or would it not be a fair statement to make that they had more than just DNA and also had fingerprints? Because if the fingerprints came back out without a match as well, that's why they could conclude that the person had never been caught breaking the law before. You see? They could find no trace of him.
You can't find no traces of him.
Smiley face. That's a point I have made, that they may also have the fingerprints of the suspect as well. Now then, Thomas Bruce had never been caught breaking the law in any big way prior to his arrest in St. Louis for a very horrific crime. A crime he may have faced the death penalty on. He was dressed like Bridge Guy during that crime and looks like the sketch of Bridge Guy. On the date of the Delphi murders, he had just filed bankruptcy on his home, some cars, and other things. He was possibly between houses and would have been in need of financial help, possibly housing or a job, as he had resigned from his job at the end of January or the first part of February in 2017. His Twitter post stopped at in November of 2016 and then started back up again in April of 2017. It's that timing right there that made me look a little deeper into this man and his past. Now, as irony would have it, Thomas Bruce was a pastor. I don't want this video to be graphic, but the crime he committed in St. Louis, he had went into a Catholic supply store, posing as the customer, had went out to his vehicle to get a credit card, but returned with a handgun, then ordered the cashier and 2 other women that were in the store into a back room and had them disrobed, and then to perform sexual acts upon him. The cashier refused, and he shot her dead on the spot and continued on with the other 2 women, sodomizing the both of them. That's the very last thing a Christian pastor would ever think to do. That told me that Thomas Bruce suffers from a mental condition, possibly mild schizophrenia, multiple personality disorder. Keep all this in mind now, because should any of this become true, it's a point I want to make. I have Thomas Bruce under suspicion of the Delphi murders, as well as the Evansdale, Iowa murders. Evansdale, Iowa murders happened on 7/13/12, July, Friday the 13th, 2012. The Delphi murders happened on 2/13/17, the 13th day of the month, the day before Valentine's Day. One of the victims was Abigail Williams. She was 13. Now, not long after the murders had occurred, a man got a hold of me asking if I thought she was killed because of her name. So I asked him, why are you asking me if she was killed because of her name? He said that the first he had heard of this case was on Salem's news site out of Salem, Massachusetts, and they had wrote an article on it because of the Salem witch trials. The accuser's name was Abigail Williams. That was her name. I thought that was very odd, as well as the reversible dates. And the fact that they was on Friday the 13th, seeking out girls 13 years of age. The 3 crimes are all against Christianity, and somewhat satanic in origin. Now, a Christian pastor is held for the last one, and given the evidence, I do have him under heavy suspicion of the other 2 cases. One of the witnesses that had seen him at the trails that day said that they was pretty sure his eyes weren't blue. Thomas Bruce does not have blue eyes. He looks like the sketch. And I'm sure the witnesses have already been asked if this is the man that they seen at the trail that day. They had the suspect's DNA. I believe they have his fingerprints as well. Video, photographs of him, as well as his voice.
I served over 10 years, and I dealt with Marines, Army, Air Force, Navy, because I was in the Navy, and I understand that you're a state trooper, but I also understand that you're a young state trooper.
two people that seen him at the trail that day, and his wife's word on where he was at that time. From his M.O., as well as my own assumption off the go, I believe that the Delphi murder is to be sexually related. An older man doesn't just go out and kill two young girls for no reason. There is always a motive. And in cases like these, it's always sexual. At the beginning, I had said there would be DNA at the crime scene, for that very reason. I did my investigating, I did my interviewing, and I spoke with Carroll County Sheriff Lesenby. He dipped and dove, but he never said that, yes, we have the suspect's DNA. I found that out when an investigator came to my house, and he said, we cannot clear you without a sample of DNA. So I said to the investigator, so then, you have his DNA, right? It was a nice moment, as memory recalls. You know, knowing you're right when you're right. Smiley face. The St. Louis crime was also sexually motivated, and I'm sure that most would feel that the Iowa murders were as well sexually related. A monster called Thomas Bruce, or Bridge Guy Number 1, is who I believe to be suspect. What I want to know is this. Why would he be in the Delphi, Indiana area during the time of February 13, 2017? Did he have family in Upper Indiana or Michigan? Someone he may have traveled to talk about financial help or a job, maybe housing for him and his wife for a while. I guess it could be for most any reason, but he was here. He was at Delphi on the 13th of February, and he was seeking an opportunity, found it, and got out without anyone knowing his name or otherwise. Without a legal history, his DNA and fingerprints wouldn't be on file. Then I suspect in November his mental issues broke him down. He went out in his own backyard and committed a very horrific crime. After his arrest, DNA took a sample of his DNA to be compared to the Codex system. I have some suspicions that the FBI ran his DNA to see what all he had done. I believe the DNA found in Delphi matched other unsolved cases the FBI were working on. To me, this is simple. They have all the evidence, which I believe fully points to Thomas Bruce. They want a confession. Let me lay this out to you. Daniel Nations was arrested in Colorado. He looked like the sketch. He had sexual offenses and was on the run from Indiana. He was a person of interest in the Delphi murders. Indiana State Police went out to Colorado to talk with Daniel Nations, but they were stopped by Daniel's public defender. So, they never got to speak with Daniel till he was extradited back to Indiana from Colorado. 1 week before the one-year press conference is when they talked to him. And then, they pretty much, at least to me, cleared him of the Delphi murders. So here's Thomas Bruce in jail for 17 crimes, is facing life without parole. He has a public defender, and I don't think that public defender would allow Indiana State Police to go talk to Thomas until the crimes he is in there for has went through the courts. Then Indiana, if need be, can extradite him back to Indiana or try to speak to him in a Missouri prison. Either or, in due time, he will be charged with the Delphi murders. If people are telling you it's not him, pay them no never mind. They probably heard that off of Facebook or something. I want you to see me like my dog Wolf sees me. As being generally correct and always having good pig to hand out as treats. That's how I operate. Thanks for viewing. I'll catch you in my next video. This is Michael J. Katt. Peace.